Anthony, where you are? All right.
¡Con huevos!
Next up, we have award-winning poet, Anthony Flores. Everyone give it up for Anthony Flores.
Well, thank you guys for having me here. It's an honor to be here with all these amazing poets from all over the city, different ages, different stages in their careers. So thank you guys. Thank you, Bubblehead.
Thank you, Bubblehead.
I'm going to do a couple pieces here. One of them an oldie but goodie, and one that I've only read once before. The first one is called A Clean Sheet of Paper. And I like to tell the story because I really do. Many years ago, working with a group of middle school kids, this young girl was the only one in the classroom who refused to write for me. Everybody else was like, fine, they wrote poems, but she was resistant, saying, why should I say anything about myself when my parents, my teachers, the television, everybody tells me who I am already? Why does my opinion count? And that seed got planted, and after many years, it became this poem. And I still think about that kid every time I perform it, and I don't even know her name anymore. But thank you, little girl. There's a clean sheet of paper. I want a clean sheet of paper. This one's got the blood of history on it. This one's been crumpled up by an angry hand, and even when I try to press it flat upon my desk, it's still got all those creases permanently etched into its wings, and that can't be good for flying. I want a piece of paper that can fly. If I can muster up the wind to make it fly, if I can breathe a little altitude into its depths, tie it to my soul by a string and let it beat and pop against the sky. I want a clean sheet of paper. This one's already been used. I don't mind recycled, but I just can't tolerate regurgitated pulp. How am I supposed to turn it into a bird and make it sing if there's already pigeon poop all over it? Excuse me, but this one already says who I'm supposed to be, teacher. I thought you were supposed to teach me I could be anything I was willing to work my ass off for, teacher. I'll be here every day, but I want every day to be a clean sheet of paper. I'll dust off the shadows of the past myself like I was beating two erasers, and I'll meet you at the blackboard. I'll meet you at your desk. I'll meet you in the middle of any book you dare to open up before my eyes. I know there's light inside the darkness of that spine, and I want to set the world on fire, not so much as an arsonist, but as a lyrical pyromaniac. This is not a game of limbo, teacher, so don't bring along any low expectations of me. I'm liable to crush them underneath my shoes and utilize the backside of your underestimations as another piece of paper I can use. I want to gargle and swish the ink around my brain and spit out my own stain. I want a surface that's ready and willing to believe anything I have the power in me to make it believe. And trust me, I can convince a sheet of paper that it's still a tree, make it sprout new leaves in the warm springtime of my breath. Just let me have it. Just let me get the fingers of my mind on it, and I'll twist it with my tongue into a complicated piece of verbal origami. Here's a poem that's a boat you can use to sail the stars. Here's a little swan who never sings its final song. And this poem is an acrobat who trusts eternally in the invisible hand of love to always catch it when it falls. Don't let me hit the ground, teacher. Sometimes the best way to open up to other people's stories is to be allowed to write your own. All I'm asking for is that clean sheet of paper. I want to gargle and swish the ink around my brain and spit out my own stain. Because every hour of our living dares us to leave a mark. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is why I brought my water with me. I'm going to do something completely different for my second and last piece. and also inspired by some of the kids I've been working with lately in the last year and a half. It seems the subject of divorce kept coming up over and over, and in their discussions and what they got to go through. And a lot of my friends were going through that, some family members. So it started out being about divorce, and I think that's what it's still about. I'm not sure. If anybody can figure out what this poem really means, I'd appreciate some notes. It's got a couple bad words. I say that for the kids. I'm sorry. It's just like your girlfriend breaking up with you in high school, except that divorce is a lot more messy. There's plenty of hurt involved in each case, but you're just stronger when you're younger when it comes to dealing with shit like that. In high school, you're an adolescent full of juicy dreams. But by the time you're 35 or 40, you might very well be just another asshole who's desperately trying to survive in the American nightmare you created for yourself all these years. None of the pieces of paper you're buried under are poems or love letters, and you're thinking you should have done something about that a long time ago. All the labor of your days has gone to building up walls and closing doors, and yet you're still wondering who it was that put you into that windowless white room. It's just like your girlfriend breaking up with you in high school, except that your young heart just doesn't know how to die too easily yet. Your young heart won't close up all the curtains, curl up underneath the sheets, and refuse to get out of bed for a few days. That kind of foolishness requires adult prerogative. But your heart won't stay in that bed, dreaming away the years until it's stunned by the sudden realization that the great big night has finally begun to fall outside and it's much too late to do anything anymore. All the suns and moons have come and gone, and man, they were pretty. Real nice. But you never looked up at the sky and danced. Too many shadows have made their homes in your bones, and there's just no way to move anymore. But not so with your young heart. There's just too much shit to be done when you're young, and not even love can keep you from doing it. It's almost nothing at all, in fact, like your girlfriend breaking up with you in high school. Imagine having to give up half of the shit that's in your locker. Most of it's stuff that you really, really want. And imagine having to take half of the shit that's in her locker. I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do with a bag full of makeup and all those Tom Cruise posters taped to the inside of that metal door? It's absurd, really. Raw reality masquerading as vintage surrealism, but that's the way it is. You walk in with 12 Billie Holiday albums and you walk out with only 3, plus a whole bunch of Barbra Streisand you don't know what the fuck to do with. Imagine getting petty. Petty to the point where you actually have to devise a new kind of arithmetic that you cannot possibly have learned in math class, because you actually start dividing up your friends, passing them back and forth across the table like they were nothing more than snacks in that old Super Friends lunchbox you used to carry around with you in elementary school. Saturday morning cartoons. Now, that's something I'm begging you to never forget. Even in the alcohol or drug-induced time machines and roller coaster rides of future Saturday nights. Saturday mornings, your big eyes smiling up at the television set. You never had to look down at the bowl when you pulled up that spoonful of cereal up out of the milk. That's the kind of blind faith I want you to keep in yourself while your mom and dad are going at it like angry prize fighters. You're gonna see yourself through this, even if you have to borrow somebody else's eyes for a while. You use your friends as libraries, man. I don't know what kind of megalomaniacal bullshit overtakes us and makes us think that we can divide up the whole city into new sectors like we owned it. You get the limelight, I'll take Bar America. You can have the Starbucks on San Pedro near Sac, I'll take the one on Military Drive. You stay away from Donna's house and I'll never go to Mike's. We'll alternate months for First Fridays at the Blue Star, depending on who gets the kid when. I tell you this only to remind you about how crazy stupid we can get. You need to know that none of this is your fault. I'm sorry I overheard you ask a question because I'm sorry to be answering it this way, but I'm in a line of work that calls for making human experiments without taking into account the scientific method. What kind of hypothesis can you possibly state about a world where separation is a necessary ingredient of imperfection? Things fall apart, so make your observations. Hearts break, so gather your materials and collect your data. Promises are broken. Present your results and test by repetition. But how long do we have to keep going around in the same circle before we realize that the only way we're gonna get out of this hole is to become a spiral? I'm sorry, again, for not making any sense. I don't speak teenager and you don't speak asshole, but I'm hoping we can understand something together. It's not the end of the world, but I'm thinking that you might very well think that it is. Other similar apocalypses are bound to come your way, but none shall be your doomsday. You were designed to be resilient against sorrow. Things fall apart, hearts break, promises are broken, but please keep an eye out for all the things that push themselves up through the cracks and claim their space in between all those shattered pieces. There are far too many goodbyes waiting in the wings for you not to cherish every new hello. Thank you.